Welcome to all. So in this particular video we will see the concept of threads and what are the benefits, and we will discuss about the threads in depth. Okay, in the previous video also I have discussed about the threads in brief, so I did not go in depth at that time, but threads are one of the important concepts. And ultimately, while explaining about the threads in a previous video, I said that you should not keep the CPU idle, isn't it? So for example, if you're calling some laborers to your home for some work, you will definitely make sure that those laborers should not waste time, isn't it? They should not sit idle. You will assign some work to them, and you will keep on track them, whether they are working efficiently or not, whether they are simply gossiping, or whether they are simply chit chatting, or they are not working or not. So many concepts you will look into it, isn't it? Ultimately, whenever you call some labor, they should not be kept idle. In the same fashion, in CPU also, the process or the work, or while developing something, it should not be kept idle. CPU should not be kept idle. You will be feeding so many works to that particular CPU. Then only you can make sure that you are getting the CPU utilization. So ultimately, that is the reason why you go for threads. And if you are running something concurrently, or if you are running something parallelly, I can say that like that. So then you are going for threads. Okay, so a thread, sometimes called as a lightweight process or LWP, is a basic unit of CPU utilization. So ultimately, for utilizing the CPU efficiently, you are going for this lightweight process or threads. Okay, it comprises a thread ID, a program counter, a register set, and a stack. Okay, so ultimately, what are the things which this threads consists? So it consists of a thread ID. Definitely, each and every thread has got its own ID. Why it requires ID? Because CPU don't have the brain. It won't graphically represent something. Everything is numbers, isn't it? For each and everything which is present in your system, it has got its own unique IDs. Based on that ID set only, CPU will recognize what kind of hardware device is this. Or it may be for USB, it may be for any registers, it may be for memory location, it may be for any hardware devices, it may be for thread or process or anything. It may be for network also. Each and everything has got its own ID. So for explanation, we will say that threads are there in operating system. You are using thread, you are creating the threads. For concurrent execution of some processes, you need threads, or thread is nothing but a lightweight process. All these things we will say. But whether CPU will understand this? No, CPU will never understand the explanations whatever as a teacher I am giving. CPU will never understand. CPU will keep track of each and everything by numbers or IDs. That using ID only, it will invoke a particular hardware, or it will invoke a particular process, or it will invoke a particular network device, or network say what you say, some chipsets and all. And it will, based on the number or address only, it will access the memory. And for random access memory also, for RAM also, there are so many numbers or IDs. For ROM also there will be IDs. So each and everything will be numbers, and there will be separate log for storing all this number. Okay, so this is a complex process. See, operating system will do so many things in the background. You have actually no idea about that. But ultimately, as an efficient work, and ultimately this OS runs in a system which uses electricity and all those things, then definitely it will be very faster. It is within a fraction of a second, it will execute so many things. Okay, so there are so many things to understand whenever we talk about operating system. Okay, in the same wise, so it will be having in the case of threads, it will be having ID. Then there will be a program counter, PC. So what is a program counter? In the previous video I said that it will hold the next instruction which has to be executed, isn't it? It will be pointing to that particular thing. So it is nothing but a counter. So keep on increasing number, or keep on decreasing the numbers. It is a kind of variable. We can, in programmatically, we can say that it's a kind of variable which will be keep on incrementing or decrementing. But in terms of hardware, it can be a memory. In terms of hardware, it can be a buffer, or it can be a register. So based on the architecture, they are going for this program counter concept. Okay, then register set. So I said registers are the fastest memory present in the system, isn't it? It is a costliest one also, and it is a fastest one also. So even thread will be having its own register set and a stack. So what is a stack? So it is a data structure, isn't it? It will be, there is a concept of push and pop operations, and you are keeping some data, and this is something like first in last out. So there are you have to remember, you have to recall all the stack concepts, because stack is a very important concept. So whenever you talk about data structure, definitely it is a brain of system. It is I can say it's a heart of system. I should not be saying brain of system. It is a heart of system. So each and every operation takes place with respect to some data structure. It may be a queue, it may be a stack, it may be linked list or anything. Based on the architecture, they implement their own set of ideas. Okay, so it shares with other threads belonging to the same process its code section, data section, and other operating system resources such as open files and signals. So ultimately those threads will be usually sharing all these concepts of other codes, because while explaining in the previous video I said cooperating process, isn't it? So if two processes are needed to be cooperated, then definitely they have to share some information. So they have to share some code, they have to share some signal concepts or data or information. So ultimately there should be something like sharing. So in the same fashion, in a threads also there will be a sharing concept. It may be a data section or any other operating system resources. So OS resources, it may be hardware resources or network resource or anything. So based on the requirement, it will be keep on the cooperating with each other. Okay, next there will be a concept of open files also. Say for example, one document you are opening, so it requires two processes, and even two processes requires your opened file, or it has to point to that opened file. Then there should be a cooperating thing, and there should not be any misunderstanding between the process, and it should not crash or something like that. Okay, so ultimately whenever we talk about processes, there should be some cooperation with each other, and even thread also will share the concept of these intercommunication. Okay, next signals, obviously. So if you are going for some data or information transfer from one thing to another thing, or if you are accessing the network from our if you are, say for example, you are building some application which requires some outside internet, or say, so for example you want to access some content from outside using internet. So there will be separate set of codes. You should access to ISP or internet service providers. You should exchange the data, or you have to exchange the packets, network packets. So many concepts are there whenever we talk about internet or the networking concepts. So it's a huge thing. You have huge information evolved in with respect to the network concept. Okay, so the traditional process has a single thread of control. So whenever we talk about a process, it is like a single thread. Ultimately you are having multi-threading concept, means you will be having more processes, or communicating with each other, and you can imagine like that. So graphical representation are there in the next slides, but as of now you think this much. Okay, so Java provides support for threads as well. However, as a Java thread are created and managed by Java virtual machine. Okay, so this is a concept of whenever we talk about Java, so even Java has got its own threading concept. So whenever you talk learn about Java in depth, so you will be seeing the concept of threads. Okay, so they do not easily fall under the realm of either user or kernel threads. So there is a main two types of threads: kernel threads as well as user threads. So user threads are nothing but whenever you as a developer or as a user you use some applications, you are creating some threads, isn't it? Say for example, you are double clicking your Firefox browser. That means one process has started. So one process has started means you are creating one thread, isn't it? You are creating one process from your own end. That is nothing but a user thread or user process. So kernel process is nothing but even operating system requires some work, isn't it? At that time it will create its own process, it will create its own thread, it will manage by itself. So that is nothing but a kernel thread. For internal works, for OS works, it will be having its own part of life, and as a user you will be having your own part of work. Fine. So that is the main difference, main thing of kernel thread and user thread, and you are going to learn kernel thread and user thread in depth in future slides. Don't worry. Okay, many software packages that run on modern desktop PCs are multi-threaded. So in the current scenario, whenever we talk about threads and whenever we talk about hardware devices or laptops or computers or desktops, it may be anything, supercomputers or personal PC or anything. So ultimately it will be having a multi-threading concept. So there will be that is the reason why you are seeing your system very fast. You are not lagging, you are not waiting for some execution. It will be within a fraction of second, it will execute and it will give the output, isn't it? So this is that is because of this multi-threading concept. Okay, an application typically is implemented as a separate process with this several. So you can see the image actually how exactly this single thread process and multi-thread process looks like. So you can see there is a code set, data set and files, registers also has got, and stack also. So if it is using single thread, that means one copy of code, data, files, registers, stack are available for that particular thread. But when you talk about multi-threaded process, see, each and every thread will be having its own stack and its own register. Can you see there? So code, data, files are same for each and every thread. That means even second thread can access same code, even first thread can access same data, even third thread can access same files, same code, same data. But when we talk about register and stack, each and every thread will be given with its own registers and stack. That means ultimately you are going to execute in very faster manner. So your work will be very fast. You don't need to wait for something. Okay, so ultimately, see, you can imagine these things in real world. So definitely you can ask, sir, you are explaining it is okay. In textbook also we are seeing the same thing. But in real world where we are experiencing this, isn't it? See, whatever the concept you learn, you should see in real world scenarios where exactly you are implementing all these things, isn't it? So in day-to-day life, whenever you are using some systems, whenever you are using your cell phone also, in smartphone also, you are actually using multi-threading concepts, because even Android support that. Fine. So how exactly you are doing? So whenever you open some applications, a separate process will be created. Each and every process will be given with its own ID. And if you are using the same process needs so many work has to be done, means it will create its own thread, and each and every thread will be having its own register and its own stack. But each and every thread will be given one set of code, data and files. So that means each and every thread can access the same code, same data, same files. It can access and it can store its own data with its own register and stack. It need not to share the register and stack, because each and every thread will be given with its own copy of register and stack. That is the meaning. Okay, so that is the difference between single thread process and multi-thread process. So whenever you will be asked to write some difference or write the concept of these things, you can imagine this image and you can put your own words in that. Okay, so ultimately this is the main difference between single thread and multi-threaded process. And in your smartphone or in the real-time application or in the real-time devices or the current devices, whatever you are purchasing, each and everything supports multi-threading concepts. Okay, so this is the one thing I just wanted to say. Now there are some benefits of threads, so definitely this will be one of the highlighting concept, so you should remember this. Okay, the benefits of multi-thread programming can be broken down into 4 major categories. Okay, the first one is responsiveness. Okay, multi-threading an interactive application may allow a program to continue running even if a part of it is blocked or is performing a lengthy operation, thereby increasing responsiveness to the user. That means, say for example, if you have 10 hands, for example, you just imagine like that. Okay, you are having 10 hands, or say for example you are like an octopus. Okay, that means it will be having so many hands, isn't it? I don't know exact hands, maybe 8 or something like that, but for example, for this particular example I am taking, you are having 10 hands. That means simultaneously, if your brain supports, you can simultaneously do 10 works, isn't it? Even though, say for example, your one hand got broken down, or you have hurt to that particular hand, that means still you have 9 more hands, and you can even though that particular part of work is paused, but still rest of the work will be keep on working down, isn't it? In the same fashion, if you are having a multi-threading concepts, even though one thread get broken down, or because of hardware issue or network issue, or you are say some errors or exceptions which is being occurred in your particular operating system, then still rest of the thread will be keep on working, and your responsiveness will be throughout given to the user, so you may not experience the lag as a end user. Whenever you are working with your smartphone or computer system, or with your own operating system, you will never see the lag. Okay, so that is the main difference. Okay, for instance, a multi-threaded web browser could still allow user interaction in one thread while an image is being loaded in other thread. So that means, say in a particular web browser also, you will be doing so many things, isn't it? In one tab you will be playing video, in another tab you will be browsing something, in the third tab you will be opening some images, in fourth tab you will be downloading something, isn't it? So that means one process should have so many threads, so that your application as a user, you should not see that there is a lag, or it is hanging down, or it should not reduce the speed of your application. So that is the reason why multi-threading concepts gives more responsiveness. So that is the explanation I can give for responsiveness. Okay, the next thing is resource sharing. By default, threads share the memory and the resources of the process to which they belong. So see, whenever we talk about memory or resources, definitely each and every thread will be having its own copy of resources, isn't it? That is the same thing you have seen in your previous slide in the image. Each and every will be having thread will be having its own registers, it will be having its own stack. Ultimately it is nothing but sharing the memory, isn't it? Stack is nothing but a memory, registers are nothing but a memory, isn't it? Or registers and stack can registers and stacks will be having the caliber to store some data. That is nothing but a memory, isn't it? So ultimately resource sharing is possible with respect to multi-threading concept. The benefit of code sharing is that it allows an application to have several different threads of activity all within the same address space. So with respect to, see, address space are required for the operating system purpose, so it will keep track of each and every address space. So whenever the code is given to share with each and every thread, that means each and every thread can this code can be kept in a particular address space. It should not be copied down, isn't it? Whenever you are copying, see, whenever we talk about copying something, that means you are using more memory. Alwa. So that is the thing, isn't it? Say for example, you are keeping two files, like say for example, you have your own image, you are keeping that image, you are copying that image to drive A, drive B, or say for example drive C, drive D, drive F. Ultimately what you are doing, you are keeping 3 copies of a same image, but with respect to technical knowledge, what you are doing, you are using the memory, more memory, isn't it? For same data you are using more memory. Now I don't know how many of you are having Vivo smartphones with you. Have you ever seen please there is a concept of deleting the duplicate images. Have you ever seen? Or slimming down the images. Slimming down is nothing but you are reducing the size of the image. That is a bad part of story. But duplicate image, deleting the duplicate image, have you ever I don't know whether how many of you are having. See, if it is a class, definitely I would have practically shown how exactly you are doing with respect to operating system. But this is just an explanation. So if you have phone, you can see it will show the duplicate images. That means it is ultimately what it is doing, what is the operating system will doing. Or in Vivo usually we have Fun Touch OS, isn't it? Fun Touch OS. In Redmi or Xiaomi, what you are having, which operating system you are having, you can comment down, okay, or you can put the message. Fine. Tell me what is the actual OS you are using in Xiaomi, and what is the OS you use in Apple, and what kind of OS you use in Samsung, what kind of OS you use in Nokia. So each and every smartphones with the different say what is the OS you are using in Oppo. So it has got its own OS, isn't it? Ultimately you can list down so many operating systems, because these Android systems will run under or with the help of Linux variant of operating system. It is not going with respect to Windows. Okay, so ultimately it can create its own operating system, and they can roll out separate operating system for each and every smartphones. Okay, so you have to understand the concept of operating system like this. Fine. Now that the why I am saying all this story, because see, whenever you are sharing the memory, that means you are increasing, you if you are copying something, then that means you are using more memory. But if you are sharing the same code set, that means a same memory can be accessed by so many threads. That means you don't need to copy down the number of lines of codes to a separate memory location. That is the resource sharing concept. Next, economy means allocating memory and resources for a process creation is costly. So definitely, because that is the reason why I said for each and everything, if you are going for memories, then you are wasting the memory, and wasting the memory cost you much. Because say for example, in your phone you have only 100 MB of space. 100 MB of space is left. That time you become more conscious, isn't it? For each and every image you will think twice. For each and every downloading concept you are thinking twice. If you are not able to delete the previous files, definitely you will think twice, isn't it? Whether I have to delete this or not, whether I have to download this or not, because I am having only 100 MB of memory. That means that time you will see the importance of memory. In the same fashion, whenever the developers are developing the operating system, they have to keep track of each and everything. So that is nothing but economic concept. So alternatively, because of threads share resources of the process to which they belong, it is more economical to create the context switch threads. So context switching I already explained in the previous video. So ultimately, if it is allowed to share the same address space or memory space, definitely it will be convenient convenient as well as economical. So and it is efficient also. So that is the reason why economy is the third benefit given by the threads. Then the fourth one is, last but not the least, utilization of multiprocessor architectures. So benefits of multi-threading can be greatly increased in a multiprocessor architecture. So if you are having more than one processor, definitely it is called as multiprocessor, isn't it? So now in the current scenarios, in the real world applications, this multiprocessor system only you are going to buy in the market. So where each thread may be running in a parallel on a different processor. A single thread process can only run on a one CPU. Okay, so no matter how many are available, multi-threading on multi-CPU machine increases concurrency. So ultimately, whenever you are using multi-threading concept in a multi-CPU or multi-processor machines, definitely concurrency will be increased. What you mean by concurrency? So simultaneously you are executing so many things, and whenever you are simultaneously executing so many things, obviously your efficiency increases, speed of the system increases, and you will not see any lags, and ultimately as an end user you will feel better. That is the main thing. Okay, so that is the concurrency concept. Fine. Now the next thing is, in a single processor architecture, the CPU generally moves between each thread so quickly as to create an illusion of parallelism, but in reality only one thread is running at a time. See, this is the concept where, see, as a programmer you have to think this last line, you have to understand this concept. The CPU generally moves between each thread so quickly to create an illusion of parallelism. So it is ultimately, as a CPU, what it is doing, it is so fast that you are seeing that concurrently you are running something, but ultimately there is a concept of sequentialness, but still as a speed it is a very fast, very speed. So you are not seeing the lag of millisecond also. At that time you see that parallelly or concurrently you are running something. So that is the main thing, but in reality they only specified, see, but in reality only one thread is running at a time. So you will see this practical thing in Java. There in Java there will be some multi-threading concepts where you are writing some programs, and ultimately you are getting the output for applications or the inputs. At that time you can see the slight delay in a particular process. At that time you can actually understand what exactly you are doing. So in the next year, definitely whenever you learn about Java, you are going to understand the concept of multi-threading in depth. But how exactly you are doing the multi-threading? Because of operating system. That is the reason why this particular concept is put in your syllabus. Okay. So the next thing, you can see the concept of user and kernel threads. So user threads are supported above the kernel and are implemented by the thread library at the user level. So whenever user needs to use the thread, that is nothing but a user thread. Okay, the library provides support for thread creation, scheduling and management with the no support from the kernel. So that is the reason why as an user you can create a user thread based on the application or process you are going to create. Okay, the next thing is user level threads are generally fast to create and manage. They have drawbacks, however. So see, ultimately they are very fast, because as a user, if there any delay, then definitely you will not feel better, isn't it? Say for example, there are some applications like Photoshop or MATLAB, or if you are some video editing tools which are very heavy for the operating system, it will take time to open, isn't it? Say for example, the best example I can give is some games. The which is the best game I can, Subway Surfer. You can see Subway Surf, isn't it? Whenever you open that game, it takes some seconds to load, isn't it? Then only you will see the main screen and you will see the play, a new play or gameplay and all. So that is nothing but the waiting time, or it will load all the game to the memory and it will search for the memory space where it is, the game is residing. All those concepts are taken care by the operating system. Understood? So that is the thing. So whenever you create, as a user thread is being created, it has to be very fast and it will be very fast. Okay, now whenever we talk about kernel threads are supported directly by the operating system, definitely operating system will be having its own threads. That is what I explained in the previous slides. Okay, so the kernel performs a thread creation, scheduling and management in a kernel space, because thread management is done by the operating system. So whatever whenever we talk about kernel threads, all the threads are taken care by the operating system, and for the internal works on internal purpose, it will be having the kernel threads. Okay, the kernel threads are generally slower to create and manage than the user threads. Okay, because within the system, whenever we talk about kernel, so it will be having its own work, and operating system will take care of it. But whenever we talk about creation of kernel threads, it will be generally very slower compared to user threads. But you cannot imagine the kernel threads and more, because you will be dealing with the user threads more, because you are creating as a user you are creating those processes or threads whenever you open some applications. Okay, so this is how you can imagine about the user space and kernel space. So user space, for user there will be a thread library. Based on the thread library, you are creating your own threads, or multi-threading concepts can be achieved. But when we talk about kernel space, there will be some process, and each and every process will be running under the help of operating system. Okay, so these are the concept of threads. So ultimately you can list out some points for threads, and you can reimagine the concept of that images I have shown for single thread and multi-threading, and you can see about user space and kernel space, or user thread or kernel thread. Fine, these are some of the information I just wanted to share. So rest of the things we will see in the next video. So thanks for watching.